Update. My husband's ex sent him a love letter and my mother-in-law said she was better for my son than you. So I showed them what I found in his phone. They started begging me to stay quiet. I stood up, suddenly clear about what I needed to do. Thank you for being honest, that's more than I can say for my husband. As I drove home, I thought about timing, how Eudora had mentioned it, how it really was everything, and right now, it was time to make some changes. Big ones. When I finally returned home that evening, our house was dark except for Virgil's study. Through the window, I could see him hunched over his desk, phone pressed to his ear. I used my key as quietly as possible, but he must have heard me because the conversation stopped abruptly. I have to go, he said in a hushed tone. No, not now. I'll call you later. I stood in the doorway of his study, watching him scramble to close browser tabs. Don't stop on my account, I said. I'm sure Catherine's waiting for your call. His face went through a series of emotions, surprise, guilt, anger, before settling on something like resignation. It's not what you think, he said. Really, because I just had an interesting chat with her. I moved closer to his desk, noticing how he subtly angled his computer screen away from me. She told me about Eudora's meddling. What I can't figure out is why you went along with it. June, please, he reached for my hand, but I stepped back. Don't. My voice cracked slightly. Just don't. That's when I noticed the browser tab he'd missed, an email draft to Catherine with an attachment, divorce papers. My stomach lurched. Were you even going to tell me? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Or was I supposed to find out from your mother like everything else? Virgil ran his hands through his hair, a gesture I once found endearing. I was trying to protect you. Protect me? I laughed, the sound harsh in the quiet room. By secretly planning our divorce with your ex? The company's failing, June. I'm drowning in debt. His voice rose with each word. Mother offered to help, but only if you left me for Catherine. Pieces finally clicked into place because she comes from money and I'm just a financial analyst from the wrong side of town. That's not fair. Fair? I moved to his desk, turning his computer screen toward me. The email draft was still open, dated 3 weeks ago. You've been planning this for weeks while I've been trying to figure out what I did wrong. His phone buzzed again, Eudora's name flashing on the screen. Of course, I said, already heading for the door. Tell your mother her plan worked, the common girl is finally out of the picture. June, wait. He grabbed my arm. Where are you going? I jerked away from him. To pack. And then I'm calling my lawyer. I'm sure he'll be very interested in these emails, especially the parts about hiding assets before filing for divorce. Color drained from his face. You wouldn't. The funny thing about being a financial analyst, Virgil, I smiled, though it felt more like baring my teeth. I notice when money moves in strange ways, like large transfers to offshore accounts right after your mother's visits. His phone buzzed again, more insistent this time. As he glanced at it, I saw another notification pop up, a message from Catherine about meeting tomorrow to finalize everything. You know what hurts the most? I asked, pausing at the door. I actually believed you loved me more than your mother's money. I was halfway up the stairs when I heard him calling after me, his voice desperate. What about children? Your mother can go to hell. I turned to face him one last time. And so can you. In our bedroom, I grabbed my emergency bag, the one I'd packed last week when I first found the letter. As I headed for the front door, Virgil's phone rang again, this time he answered. Mother, now isn't a good time. No, I haven't told her everything yet. Yes, I know the papers need to be filed by Friday. I closed the door on his conversation, cutting off whatever scheme Eudora was cooking up next. In my car, I found a text from Mari, guest room's ready whenever you need it. My hands shook as I started the engine, but my mind was clear. They wanted to play games with my life? Fine. But they were about to learn that this common girl knew how to play too, and I played to win. Mari's guest room became my war room. Spread across the bed were financial statements, bank records, and emails I'd secretly forwarded from Virgil's computer before leaving. 3 days had passed and my phone was a battlefield of missed calls and manipulative texts from both Virgil and Eudora. You need to see this, Mari said, bursting into the room with her laptop. She turned it toward me, showing a local business news website. The headline made my coffee go cold. Ashford Industries announces merger with Sterling Corporation. Sterling Corporation, Catherine's family business. That's son of, I started but my phone buzzed with an unknown number. June, a woman's voice unfamiliar said. This is Felicity. I worked in accounting at Ashford Industries until last month. I put her on speaker. Go on. I've been trying to reach you since I heard about the divorce plans. She lowered her voice. There are things you need to know about the company's finances, things that aren't in the official records. I'm listening. Not over the phone, can we meet? An hour later, I sat across from Felicity in a quiet corner of a diner outside town. She slid a USB drive across the table. I kept copies of everything, she said nervously glancing at the door. The real books, the offshore accounts, the backdated contracts. Eudora has been cooking the books for years. But this merger. She shook her head. It's not just about getting you out of the picture, they're trying to hide something bigger. Why are you helping me? Because they did the same thing to me. Her smile was bitter. I was engaged to Virgil's brother before he died, Eudora decided I wasn't good enough either and made sure I lost my job when I started asking questions about the accounts. My phone lit up with another text from Virgil. Please come home. We can work this out. I miss you. Don't fall for it, Felicity warned. The merger announcement goes public tomorrow. Once that happens. The diner's door chimed. Eudora walked in with Catherine trailing behind her like a designer-clad shadow. Well, isn't this cozy? Eudora's voice could have frozen hell. Juniper darling conspiring with disgraced employees now? Felicity grabbed her purse. Remember what I said, she whispered slipping past them. Whatever she told you is lies, Catherine said quickly. She's just bitter about being pushed out like I was. I stood up clutching the USB drive. Or about the creative accounting you're using to hide the company's real financial state. Something flickered in Catherine's eyes, fear. Eudora, you said she didn't know. Quiet, Eudora snapped as she turned to me with a smile razor sharp. Let's be reasonable, Juniper. What would it take for you to disappear quietly? To name your price? I thought about the divorce papers, the secret meetings, the years of subtle manipulation. You really don't get it, do you? This was never about money. Everything is about money, dear. She reached for my arm but I stepped back. Don't be foolish, you can't win against us. Watch me. I headed for the door then paused. Oh, and Eudora? Tell Virgil I'll see him in court. I'm sure the SEC will be very interested in those offshore accounts. Back in Mari's guest room, I plugged in the USB drive. File after file revealed the truth. The company wasn't just failing. It was a house of cards built on fraud, and the merger wasn't a power play. It was a desperate attempt to hide the evidence. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my lawyer. June, we need to talk. Virgil's filing for an emergency hearing tomorrow. Says he has evidence you're mentally unstable. I looked at the files on my screen then at the latest text from Virgil. Last chance, June. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. They wanted to play dirty? Fine. I started forwarding files to my lawyer. It was time to show them exactly what happened when you cornered a mentally unstable financial analyst with nothing left to lose. The courthouse hallway felt like a gladiator arena. I stood with my lawyer on one side while Virgil, Catherine, and Eudora huddled with their legal team on the other. The emergency hearing was about to begin but something felt off. Virgil kept checking his phone looking increasingly agitated.